like the energy that we're coming in with for Game 1.
Getting here doesn't do anything, but we still want to try to win this.
This is more what the finals feel like.
I'm in kill mode right now.
This is what you want.
SportsCenter continues as we get you ready for the NBA Finals. And while the Warriors are favored to win the series, Sage, the Raptors pulled off the regular season sweep, joining only, I know you'll like this, last year's Pacers, your team, to do that in the Steve Kerr dynasty era.
Yeah, listen, I'm glad that you said it because I was going to sound obnoxious when I mentioned my Pacers, but thank you. We have a very good research staff here, don't we? Here's the thing. Yes, that's a fact. This season overall for the Golden State Warriors has been much tougher than their previous 4 runs to the NBA Finals, but they don't really care because they're back here, and when they get here, they know what to do. Here's the other thing. Stephen Curry here not for the first time. Let's go back because the connections to Canada just keep on coming. His dad, Del, played the final 3 years of his career with the Raptors from 99 to 2002. There's old man Del Curry, meaning Steph lived here in Toronto for 3 years of his childhood. And it was in Toronto where Steph showed signs of his greatness to come. While attending Queensway Christian College just outside of the city here, Curry took that team, his junior high team, they were winless the year before, to an undefeated season in a district championship. James Lackey was his coach. Listen to what the coach said he learned from a young Steph Curry.
He was changing the way that we were even thinking about how the game would be played. He would do a move on the court, and after the game, I would go over to him and I'd say, now, could you do that for me again, nice and slow, so that I can learn it and maybe I can use it in my men's league, on Saturday morning. That's how amazing he was.
Spent 6th through 8th grade off and on up there, so talked about it before. It's always special going back up there. Still, I don't think it's sunk in, and this is for the finals, so pretty special. But when it gets to time on the floor, it's obviously business as usual, and energy up there seems amazing. So it'll be fun.
SportsCenter on the road, presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. And listen, again, Steph knows, Steph gets it. The energy here absolutely is, some say, unmatched. As we take a look at the tower and then we take a look at Jurassic Park. This park is part of what has made this city famous for NBA fans who don't necessarily live here in Toronto. This is where it gets crazy, guys. Thousands and thousands of people lining up bright and early this morning to get a spot at Jurassic Park. Sometimes they say, hey, it's more fun to watch the game from outside than inside the arena. I say no, especially if you get to stand next to one Michael Wilbon from BTI, who we're trying to do the math. 33.
Don't do that math.
Dude, I love it because you're a lot older than me. 33 NBA Finals covered, correct?
1986, 33 or 34. I've lost track.
And every NBA Finals game since 1988.
That sounds right.
Yes, I think it's phenomenal. Oh, Canada. One of the lasting images for me, Michael Wilbon, as the Raptors clinched their spot here in their first ever NBA Finals, was Kyle Lowry holding that ball. So happy because he had taken a ton of criticism through the years to get to this point. What did you see differently from Kyle this postseason?
Everything. I mean, he was one of the more experienced guys. They had to count on him in a different way. And remember, the divorce forced with DeMar DeRozan was traumatic for Kyle Lowry. I mean, it was absolutely traumatic. But he got over it gradually, and I know it took a lot from talking to him last week. You talked about the scene outside. I've done all those, whatever that number is, of NBA Finals. I've never felt one like this. Not in LA, not in Boston, not in Detroit, not in Chicago, not in San Antonio, not in Cleveland. No, nothing's felt like this. This is a country's NBA Finals, not just the cities. And Jalen Rose knows this because he played here long enough and he expressed some of the same things. And it just feels different. And Kyle mentioned that last week, just being in a conference final, you know what it feels like now for him. So this is an extraordinary setting to get that started. And Kawhi's the face of it, but Lowry's the heart of it because he's been here longer. He knows what this means to everybody here.
And by the way, he has stepped up beautifully. He averaged 19 points per game in the conference finals against the Milwaukee Bucks. That's 7 points more per game than in the first 2 rounds. So finally, that monkey's off his back. How about Mike D'Antoni? We're going to switch gears and go to a team that's not here because our Adrian Wojnarowski reporting that the Houston Rockets have broken up off contract talks with their head coach, and he's going to coach all of next year, coach out the remainder of his contract. But this is fascinating to me, Michael, because of what Daryl Morey, their GM, said recently, that, hey, we'll trade everybody but James Harden to get to the pinnacle. The head coach, kind of important.
Well, you just said he's going to coach the final year. Are we sure of that?
That's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying. But what are the Rockets saying? What's Daryl saying? And
so you're saying they might not?
I'm saying they're so uncertain now at what it is they're going to do, Sage. If you put the whole team out there for potential trade, do you know that coach is a fit with whoever it is you get back?
True.
And it's so uncertain. Look, the one thing we know about Daryl is that he is not afraid. The two GMs most unafraid, if I can use that phrasing, to go for it and try to put a contender together right away are Masai Ujiri, who took this unbelievable gamble and made it work. I don't care if they don't win a game in this. It still worked because they got further than they've ever gotten in their first NBA Finals. And Daryl Morey, who's still trying. He's got to go through Golden State to even get to that next step, and it hasn't worked so far. But Daryl's unafraid of that. You know he will acquire and trade anybody. But I think that includes the coach.
Wow.
Anthony doesn't. I'm not saying he doesn't want Mike D'Antoni, and I have not talked to Daryl about this. Okay, specifically. I'm just saying when you're that unafraid and you will acquire people, everybody on that team has been acquired through trade or free agency, not necessarily drafted. So this is I don't take anything for granted as to who's going to be on that roster.
But you just don't take a new group of guys and throw them together and expect them to get to the finals. I will say this about Mike D'Antoni, about the numbers. 49 career postseason wins for that head coach, second most by any coach who has yet to win an NBA championship.
If he's not coaching in Houston, he'll be coaching somewhere.
Absolutely.
People want Mike D'Antoni, and they should.
Absolutely. By the way, you mentioned Jurassic Park. Let's take another look out there again, the live shot, because Michael, you've been here several times, but the locals are saying it too. This just feels different.
It is.
It is a party. It is a scene. So you're going to have 20,000 strong inside here, and who knows how many more thousands out there. Here's the thing. It's going to be an interesting walk back to the hotel, Kevin Nagandi, especially if the Raptors win Game 1. Can you imagine?
Sage, it'll be just like walking through a New Year's Eve, and the bell and the ball coming down, because the celebration will continue. And Kawhi Leonard giving all those people in the six reason to celebrate, averaging 31 points this postseason. Steph Curry doing his job, averaging 27, but that number has gone up dramatically with the KD injury, increasing his scoring average to 35 points per game. Great to have Tim Legler here with us. And when you talk about the superstars here, it is led by Kawhi and Steph Curry for both these teams. What's going to be the key for both of them, starting with Kawhi tonight in Game 1?
For Kawhi, it's can he dominate the mid-range area of the floor the way that he did in controlling 2 series in a row against Philadelphia and Milwaukee. The difference with the Golden State Warriors, they have more guys that can guard him straight up individually that fit the physical profile. They have more guys on their team than any one defender that he saw in either of the last 2 rounds. When you start talking about Klay Thompson and Andre Iguodala, Draymond Green, who could switch out as an all-league defender, and goodness, if we see Kevin Durant at some point in this series, that's 4 different guys that have the length, strength to be able to play him in that area of the floor. So the big question, can he have that same level of efficiency? For Curry, it's ball screen offense. And for Toronto, that's a problem if you're going to have Marc Gasol on the floor a whole lot. You just can't ask him to be extended this far out. I'm really curious to see what Toronto's plan is going to be on the high ball screen. And it's not just as a scorer. As you can see, the playmaking is a big part of this as well. But what it's about for me is hitting him, holding him, hedging on him, making him veer with his handle, making him give it up if he starts to get into one of those roles. Does Toronto have the personnel and the capability to be able to deal with that particular part of their offense? Because to me, you're going to see that every night about 50 times. How do you defend that? It's going to go a long way in determining if you have a chance to win it.
We saw in that graphic, too, right there, that breakdown. Looney's wide open. He's been fantastic the last 2 rounds here. So who wins tonight?
I actually like Toronto tonight. I think the energy tonight, I think their bench is going to have somebody step up in a big way, whether that's Powell, coming in and giving them a ton of offense, Serge Ibaka, whoever that may be. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and ride this Kawhi wave right now. I think in Game 1, before the Warriors have had a real chance to adjust to him, I think he has a big night tonight, and the Toronto Raptors get a win. And by the way, I don't think they can win this series unless they win this game.
Okay, so if they win this game, we're going to come back to you.
Shot.
And then you give them a shot.
If they lose tonight, I don't think they can win it.
Legs, thank you so much.
Game Changer is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Push button, get mortgage.
Steph Curry has never won a Finals MVP. Does that drought end in this series as we're just over 2 hours from tip-off of Game 1 of the NBA Finals here on ABC? Kevin Durant has won the last 2 Finals MVPs, but with him out due to a calf injury, Steph and Kawhi are the top 2 favorites. The next guy also goes on a first-name basis, Draymond. Right now, Draymond Green has 6-1 odds to win the Finals MVP. And how did we get here? After a regular season that featured Green's lowest numbers since the Warriors dynasty began, the 29-year-old is playing his best basketball this postseason. In a sit-down with Rachel Nichols, Draymond opened up on how KD's injury transformed his role.
Your play in the last round and a half is also influenced by the fact that Kevin Durant isn't on the court. How does your role as part of this team change when he's not playing?
It completely changes. I have to be more of a scoring threat when Kevin's not out there. I have to, I really try to push the pace more when he's not out there. When Kevin's out there, we all have the luxury of just saying, okay, that set didn't work. We still got this guy to just throw the ball to and get out the way. So how do you make up those points? Get extra possessions, get the pace to where you want it to be, get some easy buckets.
Right.
That's how you make it up. And so I kind of took it up on myself to make sure that I'm pushing the pace, so that our team is getting off and running and taking advantage of transition opportunities.
Now, did you know Draymond has increased his career numbers from the regular season to the playoffs in 6 major categories: points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks per game, as well as field goal percentage. He's the only player to accomplish that feat in the last 25 years among those that have played at least 1,500 minutes in the playoffs. Your Miller Time moment, opening round, Jack's Tournament, the Memorial.